What's happening at the moment is the Prime Minister is trying to negotiate, but using European citizens as a negotiating tool, negotiating weapon. And what I've had in my area where people have come to see me, they're worried about their futures. They can't plan their futures because they haven't got the security of their European citizens here. And remember, our economy would not be effective, our economy would take a real hit if the European citizens here went back to Europe, the EU countries. We need to give EU citizens complete assurance. Now, what Jeremy Corbyn has said to Theresa May is that what we need to do, give them immediate assurances, and in that way, I think it would completely change the tone of our relationship in these negotiations. And we've met with socialist and social democratic leaders of parties across Europe. They're willing, I think, to give the UK citizens living in Europe the security that they need in return for what we will do with EU citizens here. You shouldn't be using individuals, EU citizens or others, as bargaining chips in some negotiations. You're using them in a way which I think is fairly brutal. So we're saying when Labour comes to power, we will give European Union citizens here assurances on their rights that they can plan their futures. And we'd expect that in return for UK citizens in Europe. So, I've got a reputation of being a very hard-nosed manager, okay? My job is to ensure that every policy promise is properly costed and a funding source is identified. So as we produce our manifesto for the election in the next week or so, every policy we're saying this is what we'll do, there'll be a detailed costing beside it and there'll be a funding source. And my job will make sure that that funding source adds up to what we need, but also will be delivered as well. And it's based upon having, well, a fair taxation system, but a process by which we invest in our economy as well, and we grow that economy, but the rewards of that growth go into proper wages and conditions, obviously, but investment as well within our public services. This isn't rocket science. This is about having a longer term plan where you actually know what you need, how you can secure the growth in the economy itself, and then how you take that growth and you invest in the long term. And I'll just give you an example. I've been working with the Confederation of British Industry, with Federation of Small Businesses, with trade unions, all of those organisations that work within our economy itself. And what they're saying is we're falling behind because we haven't invested for the last 7 years under this government effectively in our infrastructure. And that's about road, rail, broadband, alternative energy sources. We're falling behind. And they're saying, over the next decade, we need to spend about £500 billion. And I'm saying, well, government can invest some of that, private sector can invest the other. The private sector, the big corporations in this country, are sitting on between 500 and 700 billion pounds worth of earned income they're not investing. Why aren't they investing? Because the government isn't investing. There's no match funding going in. They don't see the dynamism coming from a government that's interested in growing the economy. We want to put government together with the private sector, with big business and small and medium enterprises, and almost follow the example in Germany where you have a long-term investment strategy. It's called long-term patient investment. But the most important thing is when that investment comes to fruition and you grow the economy, the rewards are shared by all of us, not just a small, tiny percentage at the top.